The question of why Bryan Kohberger spared Dylan Mortensen, one of the surviving roommates in the brutal 2022 University of Idaho murders, has lingered as one of the most perplexing mysteries in a case that gripped a nation. Kohberger, a criminology PhD student, was sentenced to life in prison without parole on July 23, 2025, after pleading guilty to the murders of 4 students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. The killings, which took place in an off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho, on November 13, 2022, shocked the small college town and left investigators, families, and the public searching for answers. Among those answers, the survival of Mortensen, who witnessed Kohberger leaving the crime scene, stands out as a haunting enigma. Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson has offered insights into why Mortensen was spared, drawing from her account and the circumstances of that fateful night. While no definitive motive for the murders has been established, Thompson's perspective, combined with court documents and Mortensen's own statements, provides a framework for understanding this chilling aspect of the case. On the night of the murders, Dylan Mortensen was one of 2 roommates who survived the attack. She lived on the same floor as Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin in the shared off-campus house. According to a police report released on July 23, 2025, Mortensen was awakened around 4 a.m. by strange noises, including what she described as crying coming from the bathroom. When she investigated, she saw a man later identified as Kohberger wearing a black outfit and a ski mask exiting the second-floor patio area. Mortensen, then 19, described him as approximately 6 feet tall with a slim build and bushy eyebrows, a description that would later align with evidence implicating Kohberger. Crucially, Prosecutor Thompson believes Kohberger saw Mortensen as she peeked out of her bedroom. In an interview with the Idaho Statesman published on July 30, 2025, Thompson stated, "From what Dylan described, I have a hard time imagining that the killer did not see Dylan." This mutual awareness raises the question: why did Kohberger, who had just killed 4 people, choose to leave Mortensen unharmed? Thompson's theory, while speculative, points to the possibility that Kohberger's actions were not entirely indiscriminate. During a plea hearing on July 22, 2025, he suggested that Kohberger may not have intended to kill all 4 victims. According to Thompson, Kohberger entered the house through a sliding door on the 2nd floor and went directly to the 3rd floor, where Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves were sleeping in the same bed. These 2 women, both 21, were likely his primary targets. Thompson noted that Goncalves had recently moved out of the house, having secured a job in Austin, and was only visiting for the weekend. The fact that Kohberger bypassed 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor to head straight to the 3rd suggests a specific focus on Mogen, and possibly Goncalves. This targeted approach may explain why Mortensen, who was on the 2nd floor, was not attacked. Thompson further suggested that Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20, were killed after Kernodle crossed paths with Kohberger as he attempted to leave the house, implying their deaths were a consequence of circumstance rather than premeditation. The idea that Kohberger's plan was not to kill everyone in the house aligns with Mortensen's survival. Her encounter with Kohberger was brief, occurring as he was exiting the scene. According to the probable cause affidavit, Mortensen heard strange noises and crying, saw Kohberger, and then texted her roommates, receiving a response only from Bethany Funke, the other surviving roommate. Frightened and unsure of what was happening, Mortensen ran downstairs to Funke's bedroom, unknowingly passing Kernodle's body, which she mistook for someone passed out from drinking. The 2 roommates spent the rest of the night together, unaware of the carnage upstairs. Mortensen later told police she didn't call 911 immediately because she was intoxicated and struggled to process what she had seen, believing it might not be real. Funke, in her victim impact statement read by a friend during the sentencing, expressed guilt for not acting sooner, noting she was unaware of the murders until later that morning when she called 911 at 11:56 a.m. to report an unconscious person. Thompson's actions during the sentencing hearing on July 23, 2025, underscored his sensitivity to Mortensen's trauma. As she delivered her victim impact statement, he positioned himself to block Kohberger's view of her, shielding her from the man who had upended her life. Mortensen's statement was raw and emotional, delivered through tears as she sat at the prosecutor's table, too overwhelmed to stand. She described Kohberger as a hollow vessel, something less than human, a body without empathy or remorse. She spoke of the lasting impact of the murders, saying, "I can't breathe, I can't think, I can't stop shaking. It's far beyond anxiety, it's my body reliving everything over and over again." Mortensen's survival, she said, came at the cost of her sense of safety and trust in the world, forcing her to make escape plans wherever she went. Her powerful words highlighted the psychological toll of being the sole eyewitness to such a horrific crime, yet her survival remains a point of intrigue. Another factor in Mortensen's survival could be the timing and logistics of Kohberger's escape. After killing 4 people, he may have been focused on fleeing the scene quickly to avoid detection. The murders took place in the early hours, and Kohberger's decision to leave via the second-floor patio suggests he was aware of the need to exit discreetly. Encountering Mortensen may have been unexpected, but attacking her could have delayed his escape or increased the risk of being caught, especially if she screamed or fought back. Thompson's comment that Dylan had an angel watching over her suggests a combination of luck and Kohberger's possible calculation that sparing her was the safer choice. Additionally, the presence of another roommate, Bethany Funke, in the house may have further deterred Kohberger from prolonging his time at the crime scene. The evidence against Kohberger was overwhelming, which may have contributed to his decision to take a plea deal, sparing Mortensen and others from a grueling trial. DNA found on a knife sheath left at the crime scene was pivotal, as it didn't match anyone in the FBI's database but was linked to Kohberger through genetic genealogy and DNA from his family's trash. His cell phone activity, online search history, including searches for Ted Bundy and the University of Idaho murders, and surveillance footage further tied him to the crime. A selfie he took the morning after the murders, showing him giving a thumbs up in front of a shower, was described by Kaylee Goncalves' father as a trophy photo, hinting at Kohberger's lack of remorse. Yet despite this evidence, no clear motive has emerged, and a gag order has limited public discussion of the case, leaving Thompson's insights as one of the few windows into Kohberger's actions. Mortensen's survival also raises questions about Kohberger's psychological state. His background as a criminology student with no prior violent history, as noted by Thompson, adds complexity to the case. Some have speculated, based on a Dateline documentary, that Kohberger's awkward social interactions and interest in figures like Ted Bundy may point to a fascination with crime that culminated in the murders. A former classmate described him as socially awkward but trying to connect, while his browsing history suggested a preoccupation with criminal behavior. Whether these traits influenced his decision to spare Mortensen is unknown, but they paint a picture of a calculated individual who may have weighed the risks of further violence. Ultimately, the question of why Kohberger left Mortensen alive may never have a definitive answer. Thompson's theory that Kohberger's primary targets were Mogen and possibly Goncalves, with Kernodle and Chapin killed as a result of an encounter during his exit, suggests Mortensen's survival was a byproduct of his focus and haste. Her brief sighting of him, coupled with her hesitation to act immediately, likely allowed Kohberger to escape without further confrontation. Mortensen's courage in speaking out at the sentencing, despite her trauma, ensured her voice was heard, as she declared, "He will never get to take my voice." Her survival, whether due to chance, Kohberger's calculation, or an angel watching over her, remains a poignant reminder of the fragility of life in the face of inexplicable violence.